Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tisha with Wakelet. I'm part of the community team, and I'm so excited to join you from Dallas, Texas today with all of my guests. We are talking about portfolios from little learners all the way to professionals. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my three main guests. Today we have Stacy White. So I'm going to ask her to join me. We have Priscilla Heredia, longtime Wakelet ambassador, and we have Renee Dawson, who a lot of you saw a couple of weeks ago sharing about branding and portfolios. And we are making history here today, ladies. Did you know we are making history, the four of us? We are about to do something that we've never done on a live webinar. We're going to do some breakout rooms so that our attendees can choose their path, if you will. So before we do that, I'm going to give each of you a little bit of time to introduce yourself. Shout out to the people you see in the comments that are maybe here supporting you. And then we're going to do a little bit of whole, if you will, you're all educators, we're going to do whole class instruction for a minute before we do breakout. So I'm going to throw the mic over to Priscilla and have her intro. And then Priscilla, you toss the mic after you're done.
Hi, everybody. I'm Priscilla Heredia. I am in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I teach at a public school, K-4. I'm a STEAM teacher and gifted services education specialist. I'm so excited to be here. Shout out to my bro. I see Dr. Harves out there. I see Mohammed. I see Rachel, Edu Guardians. So many people joining us. I'm so happy that you're here for us. Let's pass it off to, I guess, Stacy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy White. I am a CTE and Spanish teacher at Pine Tree Junior High School in Longview, Texas. Currently, I am in Pigeon Forge on vacation, but I am very excited to be here with you guys today. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about digital portfolios in the middle school and high school classroom, especially kind of geared toward my CTE class and some things that we've done in that. So with that, I will pass it off to Renee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Renee Dawson, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, representing the South today. I will be talking about professional portfolios. If you joined my session a few weeks ago with Katie Fielding, we talked about professional portfolios. So we're going to bring that back to the front again. I am an ed tech specialist. I'm unattached right now. So I'm representing my own company, Design for You Learning, and would love to hear from you on Twitter. I see lots of Edu Guardians in the comments. So shout out to our crew. And I look forward to seeing y'all in our breakout room.
Thank you all for joining me. I have a couple of announcements and reminders for everybody, including our guests. But remember, we want you to shout about anything cool that you're hearing or seeing. Take screenshots. Make sure you're tagging our panelists and our speakers using the hashtag Wakelet Community Week so that you can be entered to win some really cool prizes. I saw the AR/VR thing. Like, that is really cool. But I also, if you didn't watch the after party, we also have a completely separate contest for the after party. So that means you need to go watch that so you can see what that contest is all about. I'm not going to tell you what it is on this session because I want you to go back and watch it. So make sure you're doing that. Also, as always, the Wakelet way is that you will get your certificate at the end of the session. You all know that. You will have resources in a collection, and you can always go back to the Wakelet YouTube channel, so youtube.com/Wakelet, to watch the replay. You can watch replays from all of the 2024 Wakelet sessions, and you could even go back in time and watch all of the previous sessions, which leads me to my question for our guests here. Stacy, how many community weeks have you attended?
This is actually my first.
That's amazing. We're so excited to have you, Stacy, presenting on your first community week. We're so excited that we get to do that with you. Priscilla, how many community weeks have you been a part of?
I think I've been to all of them, and I got to present, I think, 2 times.
Yeah.
And then this year. So I'm really.
Absolutely. I know Priscilla's been to all of them. So you can go back and watch Priscilla from the beginning, right? Renee, how about you?
This is my third one, second one presenting.
That is amazing. Yeah. So if you're in the chat, make sure you let us know how many community weeks that you have attended. Let us know one of your biggest moments from community week. I'm going to be checking the chat. I see a lot of you. Melissa's really excited about CTE for the win. We see Pine Tree CTE shouting out for Stacy. I love it when all of your friends join. Christy is shouting out Priscilla. I'm trying to see all of the people in the chat because there's a lot. We have Nicole from Canada. Priscilla, you have New Jersey friends. Priscilla has friends everywhere, right? Priscilla. Lydia's in there from Dallas. Crystal is, let's see, she's in St. Louis. There's so much happening. And of course, we do want to shout out Dr. Harvey. You know, we always have to do that. Dr. Harvey he's everywhere too. And then he's also nowhere because I don't ever know where to actually find him. Okay, so I have some questions for you as panelists, because you obviously are here because you are doing really important work with portfolios, no matter what level you're kind of talking about. But I want to hear from each of you. So we'll just kind of do this. We'll have Priscilla answer first, then Stacy, and then we'll round it out with Renee. Okay. So the first question I have for you is, why do you believe portfolios and digital portfolios are so important?
I think they are important for so many reasons, but I like to focus on growth. I think it's also for reflection. I love celebrating. Everybody that knows me is I celebrate everything. And I just think that's something that I think people don't realize sometimes for a portfolio. You're celebrating your work, your growth, your achievements, your journey. One of my students called it my amazing journey of, and then put the year. And I just love that. So,
Stacy, what about you?
So, one of the things that I love most about digital portfolios is the autonomy that it allows the kids to have. That they can choose what they want to put in there. They can choose, they can create their own collection of their works. And just like Priscilla said, it shows their growth. And I think that's the most important part. A lot of times people only put their best work in a portfolio, but I tend to disagree with that. I think it needs to be something that shows their growth along, a longer period of time, because that's what we all like doing, right? Going back through our mom's files where we have all of our stuff from kindergarten and looking at all the cool things that we did growing up. I think it's the same basic concept. You start in the beginning of the year and then you just keep growing. And that just says so much by the time the kids can look at it again at the end of the year, and see, just exactly what they've learned.
And Renee?
Definitely for your professional portfolio, to showcase all of the little things you do that you don't have room for on your resume. Taking that resume and uncluttering it is so powerful, to just have a bit.ly or a QR code to share with your portfolio that highlights all of the amazing things you've done in your career, every award you've received, every webinar you've been on, every podcast, all of those little things that you want to put on your resume but don't have room for. The portfolio is the perfect place to showcase those for a potential employer, or even a potential opportunity that you might not even realize you have to come up.
So I think that's an interesting point. You all made great points there. I loved what Stacy said, and I think we may have lost Stacy just for a second, but she's coming back. I'm guessing she's having technical difficulties. So she said something that I thought was really interesting. So do you guys agree or disagree with that? She said, don't put your best work. Do you believe that is something, we've talked about when we're talking portfolios in Wakelet? Choose your best work, choose the things that show your best. What do you guys think about that comment?
I think definitely to show your growth is important as well, to show where you started from and where you are currently. So I have every single thing I've done in my career that's highlighted, that should be highlighted, whether it was the first podcast I did or the 50th podcast I've done on my portfolio, just to show my range and to show what I've done.
So I think it's interesting. Oh, did we lose her again? There she is. Hey, Stacy, you're back. So Stacy, what you missed is I actually used one of your comments, and we're going to get Priscilla's thoughts on it, but you said, don't put your best work. And I wanted to find out what everybody thought about that. So Priscilla, what do you think?
So I think it depends on your purpose behind the portfolio, because there's different types. Maybe you're doing your best work. Maybe it's a working portfolio, like straight start to finish. So in some situations, maybe you're pulling those pieces and only the best. Others want to show the whole thing. It really depends on what you want to do with it. So I think you could do both.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Priscilla brings a great point, and she and I have presented a lot on student portfolios and really just that student autonomy piece. But it's always going to come down to that purpose. As you were saying that, Stacy, not to put the best work, I started thinking the best work that I have today is definitely not going to be my best work in a month or in a year. And so it really forces me to grow and update and change that portfolio. So great answer. And thank you for sharing that, Stacy. I always like when our attendees sort of change the status quo there. Okay. So my next question for all of you is, this is really specific because you all know you've been doing this a long time, each of you, and a lot of you in the chat. We know that platforms are awesome. We're obviously all here for Wakelet. We're all using Wakelet. We're sharing how we're using Wakelet. And I want to deep dive that a little bit. I want each of you to tell me what you've seen Wakelet and digital portfolios do to support the learning, like specific pedagogy. What are you seeing in your classrooms, in your experience? And how do you think we're going to take that into the future? So again, we'll start with Priscilla, and then we'll go Stacy and Renee.
So I think for my smaller groups that have been doing the portfolios for a while, I think it really has allowed them to realize that they should be looking at their work. They should be reflecting. And I saw as we did that they wanted to. So that was the best part of it. It didn't feel like an assignment. It was something they were investing in themselves. So you're taking that time to see where you're going with it, right? So one of the specific things we start off with is goal setting, and that's part of their portfolio. They have an all about me. That's part of it. So they're growing. So it's not just the units that we do and the academic other parts. It's this bigger part. And their goals do include things outside of my classroom because we want to know them as a whole person. And I see it going far because they are asking me, is this going to stay? You're not deleting this, are you? Like, do I get to keep this? And I said, yes. And I haven't gotten rid of anything, even the students who have moved on to my next level that I don't really have control over there with that. And they have been still in it, and I have seen it. So it's just amazing to watch them continue to invest that time in themselves.
Yeah, so for me, it's more like I love the whole, I guess, wholeness of it all. Like you can come at it from all different angles. So in my particular classroom, I love being able to have the kids use all the different senses, right? So they post videos of themselves actually talking about whatever it is that their portfolio is on. They practice things. Like in ours, we're doing kind of career exploration, so they'll post practice videos of themselves with being interviewed and then interviewing others so that they can critique it and write notes to each other about it. I invite the parents of the kids to come and look at their portfolios online, and then parents can actually work with their kids and leave them notes and stuff like that. So for me, it's more like using that to be pedagogical is more kind of a discussion, I guess that means, like, because to me that means that they're actually internalizing the information and being able to give it back to me in a way that makes more sense to them. So that's kind of what I do.
I love what you said. I was thinking, and I don't know if the three of you saw Jennifer Mitchell's session yesterday, but she had a fourth grader on, and she was talking about this experience, her and JC, about this fourth grade student who said, I've never had to think about my learning that far back. And then to say, they kept saying, and if you didn't see that session, go back and watch that session, because it was very, very, it was kind of mind blowing, because, you know, you hear these from students and they're saying they're thinking out loud, which is what Priscilla and Stacey, you both have kind of said. I mean, you know, they sometimes have not practiced that. So I believe all of you, that's part of why you're all here. You're doing that. Renee, when we're thinking about professionals, that would be all of us here and everybody in the chat. What do you see? how do professional portfolios support the learning and empowerment for us as professionals?
You have to create your own brand. You have to brand yourself out there. It is a hard industry, especially ed tech, to get into, to stay on top of, to stay abreast of all the new things going on, especially with AI. You have to create a personal brand that's going to speak for itself as soon as somebody sees your portfolio, and it sticks in their mind, and it makes them say, I need to talk to this person. So for me, it's all about branding yourself and having that brand out there that represents you and what you believe in as an ed tech specialist or ed tech superstar.
No, I think there's something to say about that. I think even from Priscilla's students all the way to where you're talking, Renee, it's the branding is there. We've talked about this for years and years. Students are on social media. They're seeing their parents on social media. Everybody it has a brand on social media, whether you are being intentional about it or not, right? So I think it is definitely something to reflect on. Stacy's doing that at the middle school, high school level. Priscilla is instilling that in them as the littles. I love this topic so much. We only have about 5 minutes, but I don't want you to feel pressured. We can go 7 if your stories are longer. But what I would love to know is, on a personal sense. So I want you to be thinking about your experience with this personally. I want you to think of a story specific to you and your experience that really showcases the power of portfolios. So it can be a student, a teacher, it can even be your own story. But I would love for you to share a story, because you're obviously talking about this topic because it's your expertise and it also is your passion and purpose. So I know there is a story that probably along the way sort of launched you into this space today. Priscilla?
Okay, so I'm going to do it really short here. It really was my students who started this idea. I've always tinkered with it, but I didn't do it. And when I introduced them to Wakelet, they kind of just saw it. Like, this is a place where we could, and they started filling in the blanks. This is what we should do with it. And I was blown away. I'm like, absolutely, let's go. So even when we had just collections and not this full version of what we could do, we were doing portfolios, and they started to collect, and they were just so proud of themselves, and we just ran with it. So every time there was a new iteration of Wakelet, I'm like, okay, now how can I do it? And we did it again and again and again, and I just was blown away. And so I felt like, and then I realized I was the missing piece. I didn't do it. So I see Tisha doing it, and everybody, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I need to do this. And then you sit down and you see all these things you're doing. And I'm not going to lie, I was proud of myself. I didn't realize sometimes what you do or to the caliber you do something until you start to write it down, right? Just that simple piece. And I really wasn't. And then I just thought, and then I could see what pieces were missing for me. And I shared that back with my students. Okay, so here's how you can see the holes, and not necessarily holes, maybe just places you want to jump to, right? And that's where it went. So then we've just been going and going since then.
So for me, it was more, I had this idea for my classes. So the year before last, it's kind of different since we just finished school, and that's last year. So the year before last, we started this kind of new program at our junior high, which is the career explorations course. And I had this dream of having them compete at the end for kind of a top prize. So being able to put all of their work for the whole year together to be able to submit to people that they didn't know, and then interview with those people accordingly. So the year before last, when we first started it, I didn't know about Wakelet. I didn't know about any kind of digital portfolios or anything like that. So at the last minute, it was kind of left up to me to compile all of the things that the kids had turned into Google Classroom and then send those off to the judges. But I learned a lot this last year. I went to several tech conferences, and I was introduced to Wakelet. And so at that point, I was just like, "This is it. This is where we're going." So when I introduced that to the kids in January, they were all for it. They were super excited that they were able to upload their own stuff and then share that link with other people who then could give them critiques, and just community members at large, not necessarily like people from the school district or parents or anybody, but anybody that they knew could come in and say, hey, I think you should probably do this a little bit better with your resume, or maybe we need to work on these interviewing skills before the competition. And it just took our competition to the next level. I mean, it was phenomenal to see all of the student work that came together to make these portfolios, and the student as a whole to be represented in those portfolios was just spectacular.
I would kind of bounce off what Priscilla said, like, be proud of yourself, make that list, go through, find all the things that you've done, all the little things, all those little awards you've won, the little recognitions you've received, put all of those things together, and you've got something really powerful to share. I've had people find my portfolio from my Twitter page or my X page and reach out to me via there because I've had my resume on there and they see what I'm capable of, and they'll reach out and offer me contract positions or offer me a spot on their podcast or to write an article for their magazine or publication. So having all those things present just opens you up for opportunities that you didn't even know you had.
Your stories are all incredible, and it's so powerful. I'm so excited. I wish I could go to all 3 of your sessions. But what I want to say, Stacy, what you're doing with your students is amazing, because you are really giving them this real world opportunity and experience where people from outside of the school are giving them advice, and you're connecting the dots for them, if you will. So now they realize it is much bigger than just an assignment, which is, what Priscilla and Renee are talking about, putting it together for ourselves. Not only are we reflecting on it and we're seeing the progress that we've made, and maybe the gaps, Priscilla, you called them holes. I mean, you start seeing, oh, I need to increase my knowledge in this particular area, or, oh, I need to do something here. And it's absolutely true. Renee's right. You put some work into a portfolio on Wakelet, you put it on your Twitter or your LinkedIn, people will start reaching out to you because they can see visually what your expertise is, that you are doing what you're saying you're doing on your resume. And it backs all of that up. Your stories are incredible. And luckily, I know Priscilla and our stories kind of intertwined. Stacy was in my session about Wakelet last year, so we were brainstorming on that. It's my passion. I believe that this is a great way to move forward with students. And you guys were on time. So kudos to all of you. We stayed within our time frame. So now we're going to make history, ladies, if you're ready. But before we do that, I'm going to remind all of you in the chat, don't forget to use hashtag Wakelet Community Week. Every one of those shares using that hashtag is an entry into the contest. You will get a certificate link for your sessions, always at the end of your sessions, and you will be able to watch the replays. Yes, Crystal, all 3 sessions are going to be posted and recorded at the same time. And yes, you can go back and watch later. I want to just check in the chat. So if you ladies are looking, Cheryl saying keeping your Wakelet portfolio active and current is so important. Yes, yes, and yes. Renee will probably talk to you about that. I want to say there were a couple of comments. Student digital portfolios shed light on another aspect of our students' lives that we may be unaware of. Absolutely. I think that what you all are doing, and everybody who's passionate about this particular topic with students, we are empowering them in a way that they maybe didn't even know they needed to be empowered in. And so I can't wait to go back and watch all of the sessions. So here's how this is going. All right. So let me just tell you, Priscilla has a specific link. I'm going to show it to you in a second. I'm not going to show it to you now because you'll all leave me just like students. So I'm not giving it to you yet. Priscilla has a specific link for session 1, and she is going to be talking about portfolios with little learners. Okay. That's what she's talking about. Stacy is going to be in Breakout session 2, and she's going to be telling you what she did with her students. So she gave you a little bit of a preview. She's going to give you a really deep dive on that, and it's really cool because I've previewed it already. And then Renee has her own link, and Renee's going to be talking to you about portfolios for professional roles. So that if that is something you want to do. Now, the question is probably, I haven't even looked at the comments. You might start off in Renee's room and feel like you're having fear of missing out. So you go to Priscilla's room. Maybe you want to go to Stacy's room. That's fine. We're going to let you do that. But I say stay in the room that your intuition is kind of leading you to, because there's a reason for that. and then go back and watch the replays of the others. I will be here. So just to confirm, ladies, I will be here. If you get lost, I'm here for you. If anybody in the chat gets lost, I'm going to be here. So we're going to pop those links and QR codes up so that you can join Stacy, Renee, and Priscilla. So Stacy, Priscilla, and Renee, when you are ready to leave this studio and go to your own room, you are welcome to do that now.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. We will not come back. So you guys are going to wrap up your own rooms, okay? Okay, so we are going to put the QR codes on to this screen here. And they are also in the chat. Thank you to our Wakelet technical team. Priscilla's Breakout Room 1, you can go watch there. You also have Stacy's room, Breakout 2, and you have Renee's room, Breakout 3. You can use your QR code. You can click the links in the chat. And I'm going to hang out here if you have questions or you're not sure where you're going. So pop those in the chats. I'll also be here if anybody shows up late. So I'm going to mute myself and turn my camera off.